Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Karbachana Prabhu, will you please read the Sanskrit? Of course.
Asamaho charanareno jusham aham syam Vrindavane kimapi gulmalatau shatinam Yadustyajam svajanam aryapatham chahitva Bejur mukunda padavim shrutibhir vimbrikyam Asam Gopi.
Asam of the gopis. Aho. Oh. Charanarenu. The dust of the lotus feet. Jusham. Devoted to. Ahamsyam. Let me become. Vrindavane. In Vrindavana. Kimapi. Anyone. Gulmalata Oshatinam. Among bushes, creepers and herbs, yeah, they who do styajam, very difficult to give up. Svajanam, family members, Aryapatham, the path of the chastity, Cha and Hitva, given up, Pechuhu, worshipped, Mukunda Padavim, the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna. Shrutibhi, by the Vedas. Vimrigyam, to be searched for. So the translation of the text. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47, Text 61. The gopis of Vrindavana have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up. And they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna. Which one should be searched for by Vedic knowledge? Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavana, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet.
Комментарий учеников Шрила Прабхупады.
So now the purport of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. The word meanings and translation for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Caitanya Charitamrita, Antalila 7.47. Sri Uddhava here shows the perfect Vaishnava attitude of humility. He does not pray to be equal to the gopis in their exalted stage of love, but rather to take birth as a bush or creeper in Vrindavana, so that when they walk upon him, he will get the dust of their feet and thus be blessed. The shy gopis would never agree to give such blessings to a great personality like Uddhava. Therefore, he cleverly sought to get such mercy by taking birth as a plant in Vrindavana. So that's what kind of verse we have today. So probably we'll read another one today. Not sure yet.
Тут есть о чем поговорить.
But let's just stop here right now because there's some
Я думаю, что
food for thought here.
как-то понять до конца, что здесь написано.
And I think it's quite impossible to fully understand what is written here. But the essence is that
Любое живое существо
any person, any living entity, it is very attached to its body.
самая сильная привязанность, самая
This is the strongest attachment,
заключается именно в этом.
the most powerful force of Maya
Очень привязан.
is an attachment. A person is very attached to his tongue, stomach, genitals,
К своему уму,
to his mind,
к своему гневу,
to his anger,
конечно же, речь. Все
and of course his speech. Everything seems to be valuable.
То, что я говорю,
We think that is really
что я
valuable,
перевариваю в своем желудке,
what I
то, что
say,
я произвожу
or what I
детей.
digest in my stomach, or what I produce in my children.
Углубляется таким образом,
So these attachments,
входит через
they go even deeper.
деятельность,
So it goes through this world with the help of my
через моих
parents,
последователей.
with the embodiment of my thoughts,
Очень огромная сила это тело.
my
Майя, и люди ищут Майю.
followers.
Где это Майя в мире?
People are looking for Maya. Where is this Maya? Where is it hidden? But it's actually
Самое близкое,
hiding
самое дорогое
in the
для
mind
нас
of a
есть.
person. The closest, the dearest
Вот это
thing is
отождествление с телом.
I am.
Я сам
And this identification with body,
могу
I am alone, I am myself,
здесь, в этом
is
мире,
the strongest
заслужительно
identification.
бросать
And
своих
here in this
родственников,
world, it is not good to leave behind our relatives, families, husbands, children,
здесь это самые
It's a
тонкие
crime.
такие ценности, на чем зиждется
because here we have the most
человеческий.
subtle,
Здесь
greatest
придется
values
оставлять свой
that the
дом,
whole civilization is standing on.
также.
You cannot just quit your job,
Речь идет о том, чтобы быть постоянно
forget about
своим
your relatives. The point is that you have to be constant in your actions,
последовательным.
thoughts.
Вот такой мир, так он устроен.
So that's how this world is
Но
functioning.
ради Кришны
But for the sake of Krishna, Vedas say we have to do it.
это
Only
единственная
in one
причина,
case.
которая может объяснить
The only reason they can explain
это поведение.
this
Почему
behavior,
человек отказывается от исполнения
like why does a
материальных
person
привязанностей, почему он отказывается от семейных привязанностей,
denies or refuses to
отказывается
work,
материальных даже желаний,
refuses his family or his material desires.
отказывается от своего ума,
Why does he refuse his mind, thoughts,
держит под контролем свои гениталии
and support and
и не обращает
holds under
внимания на
control
общественное мнение?
his genitals and does not take
Преступно.
care about the
Здесь
social
материальное
opinion?
существование, то есть
It's a crime from the point of view of the material existence. A person refuses all these things. This is a crime. He does not respect the laws of his ancestors and his family.
и он куда-то смотрит на сторону постоянно.
See, it's told about chastity here. What if you look
Но здесь описывается, конечно же, другая
left,
Удава, он видит, что даже
right,
в сознании
to some other
Кришны
things?
Бхакти,
But Uddhava sees that even in Krishna's consciousness in Dvaraka,
свою семью,
everyone
уважают своих родственников,
pays reverence to his
следят,
family.
чтобы законы
relatives.
соблюдены в обществе, семейные
So
традиции.
everyone is actually
Вриндаване он не увидел
looking after the implementation of all these laws, but not in
Семейство
Vrindavana.
Ядова было самое могущественное.
So the family of Yadava
Кришна сам
was the most powerful one.
возглавляет эту
Ugrasena
династию,
was the
защищает это
king.
хозяйство. Там у него
So
жены,
this dynasty
дети,
was
там
fully
все
protected.
обязанности в совершенстве
Everything
исполняют.
was there.
Описывается, что даже
Krishna's
Нарада
wives and castles, even Narada
Он
Muni,
посещает эти дворцы постоянно, чтобы увидеть, как
he
Кришна
would
выполняет свои
visit
обязанности с детьми, с женами, с
all these
религиозными
castles
ритуалами,
just to
как
make sure
что он делает, как
that
он
Krishna
медитирует.
was doing his job well.
Семья очень важна. Много важных вещей.
Family is very important. There are a lot of
Все это описывается.
important things in this world. Vedas describe all these values, but gopis, they have refused all these things.
Они отвергли все эти ценности. Они вообще
They have refused everything.
забыли.
They have totally forgotten what on them. They forgot what a husband is, a child. They didn't feel any attachment to them or hatred. It's not like they started hating their husbands and they left them for the sake of Krishna. No, it wasn't like that. You know, the queen of Dwaraka, she's actually in Krishna's consciousness as well. And Rukmini said about that. What is husband? Is it just a combination of bones and meat? Can I call these my husband? Just the elements? No, they have admitted Krishna to be their husband. And they married. You see, the point is that gopis, they were already married. They already had some duties, but they refused. They renunciate all of these things in a natural way. This is the only reason why a person can leave everything behind in this world. The highest religious principle. But you have to get this from God, not from a person that we complain to. You can tell, you know, just leave everything, quit everything and find another family, another wife, and live happily. Now, this is a crime in this world. Family traditions. But here, it's all about Krishna. You see, and even the values that cannot be violated in this world, they all have been violated by gopis. So we can say a lot of bad things about gopis right now. They have husbands and fathers. And of course, fathers and husbands, they watch over them, but they are afraid for the reputation. They're watching gopis' behavior. So how do they live now in this world with such a reputation? What do people think about devotees, about pure devotees? They do not follow the regulations. People would think that this is a dangerous sect, like a cult. Of course, devotees are worried about that, so that materialists do not think bad things of us, so that we don't lose this respect. So there are many reasons for that. Many reasons to criticize devotees, and devotees are being criticized all the time. The society in general is very materialistic, and even back then, in those times, it wasn't a simple thing. Even in Vrindavana, there were a lot of reasons for that. Although Vrindavan is a place of fearlessness, see, a lot of demons would come there. Kamsa was terrorizing everybody. Everybody was afraid of him. So this demoniac expression of Kamsa is described there. All the saints, they were on the run. They were escaping Kamsa. But when Krishna came there, everyone forgot about Kamsa. All this dictatorship, all these horrible things. His rudeness and toughness. Kamsa would kill his own nephews. His allies were the most powerful demons, undefeatable, the greatest demons. Even demigods wouldn't fight them. But the dwellers of Vrindavana, they just forgot all about that. They were just joking about that. When people would talk about Krishna, they weren't afraid of him. Why? Because Krishna was there. But to lose prestige or honor, this is probably the most fearful thing for modern people. To lose your honor, this probably is the most dangerous thing nowadays. How do you keep living upon losing your honor? For example, Krishna says to Arjuna, You will not be able to keep living when you lose your honor. You have great past, great virtues. You have a great honor. You got so powerful identification, so values connected with this body. If you refuse to fight this identification of a kshatriya, you will lose it forever. Whom will you be? Whom will you become? What will you think of yourself? You won't be able to live. Will be worse than a death. Ashwadhama was punished for losing his honor. It was equal to suicide. So no one is capable of fully renouncing false ego while you are in this physical body. Even if it's said, the greatest sages reaching consciousness of Krishna, they do not renounce their relatives. They still feel this connection, this family connection. We have children, fathers and mothers, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews. But what refers Gopi, Uddhava was even he was amazed at this act. See, here we all think about being happy, that our relatives to be happy, our families to be happy. So we have very elevated relationships in this world. And gopis, they have refused everything. Only Krishna was in their heart. They weren't thinking about anything else, they weren't dreaming about anything else. But you see, it doesn't usually happen in the material world. All the women praying for just one person to become their husband. Usually there's some competency, a competition between women, but not in this case. So gopis, they were going through some austerities together, and Krishna has accepted their austerities. He has accepted their soul because they couldn't think of anything else. So when they appeared at the flute sound, so Krishna started talking about the religious orders and testaments about the duty of a woman in a family. But gopis, they didn't pay attention to that. It's like they couldn't hear him. They were completely transcendental. So if you have such a consciousness, not in Krishna's consciousness, that's a terrible thing. So we have to understand what Krishna consciousness is. To define the qualities of gopis not by their actions, but by their consciousness. So consciousness in general is spiritual and is defined by the relationships with God. So that's how you define it. Who is this person? Materialist, spiritualist, atheist? There are different types of brahmanas. Levels of brahmanas are different. And the first one is Vipra. Vipra is a Brahman who knows the categories of Brahmakanta very well. He might know astrology very good, Ayurveda, a lot of other sciences. These Vipras in the past, they were supported by the kingdom, by the government. They were given like whole villages, a lot of cows and gold. But they were communicating with people for free. And people knew about these Vipras because Vipras, they were spreading this knowledge everywhere. People would just come to them. Everyone wanted to be healthy and they wanted to know the future or some sciences. The only way to get this knowledge was to get it from Vipras. These Vipras, they were ruling whole cities. They were unbeatable in knowledge, knowing all these rituals, or how to get this or that material aim. Vipra knows everything, anything.
знает шастры.
He knows Shastras,
Если цари не знали, как достичь
and if
желаемого,
kings
они
didn't know how to
обращались к
reach the desired things,
браманам, они
they would
смотрели
refer to
карты, они
Brahmanas.
смотрели ведические
And
писания,
Brahmanas, they
они
were looking at
обсуждали всё
some
это,
natal maps,
вместе
some
приходили к
astrology,
выводу, что должен делать
and they
правитель,
would make conclusion
что
together
не должен делать
what this
правитель,
ruler
какие
was supposed to
совершить
do,
яги, чтобы всё-таки
what he
осуществить
wasn't,
желаемое,
and what
и как победить
yagyas
врагов и так далее.
he would have to
Браманы
organize.
управляли таким образом. Випра.
So
И они очень
Brahmins,
важны,
they were
Прабхупада
ruling,
говорит, для того, чтобы
and Prabhupada
создать
says that
гармоничное
they're very
общество в этом
important
мире
to
материальном.
create a
Веды, они
harmonic
дают эти знания.
society, and Vedas give
Говорят,
this
что
knowledge.
лучше гармоничное общество,
So
чем
Vedas
хаос.
say that harmonic society is better
Випры
than a
тоже очень
chaos.
ценные были люди.
So Vipras
И
used to
они
be
имели
very
поддержку
precious
непосредственно
people,
царей, но высшие
valuable people,
карма-канды,
and they were supported directly by the
гьяна-канды,
kings.
браманы,
But
которые
Jnana Kanda
достигли
is even
Брахмана,
higher. So Brahmanas that
они
have
говорят
reached
уже о каком-то
Brahman,
отречении и знании,
they're talking about some kind of renunciation.
добавляют отречение.
So they add up renunciation
Не
to
упраздняя
what
этим
Vipras
их
were doing.
деятельность, не критикуя
They do
их
not
деятельность.
refuse anything, they do not
дополняя.
nullify their activity, but
У
they
нас есть
complement their
тенденция
activity.
критиковать
So we have a tendency to criticize
какие-то ведические разделы Писания,
some
которые
Vedic
не трансцендентны,
categories
не прямо проповедуют, а косвенно ту же
of
аюрведу,
Vedas
кто астрологией
that are
занимается,
not transcendental,
и так живет.
that preach astrology, for
У
example,
нас есть такая тенденция
or Ayurveda.
отвергается только привязанность.
So we have this tendency.
Деятельность никогда не отвергается. Любая
You see,
деятельность должна совершаться как
we
жертвоприношение
could
Вишну. Деятельность не отвергается.
criticize attachment, but not the activity.
Отвергается привязанность, и привязанность отвергается при помощи
The
гьяна-канды.
attachment is refused with help of
При
Jnana
помощи
Kanda,
философских правильных размышлений о душе и
with
теле,
help
да,
of
и
righteous
выясняется,
philosophical
что материя
conclusions,
выясняется, что я
where
не тело.
spirit and body
Привязанность
are different
временная
things,
и неразумна
and then it
привязанность.
turns out I'm not this body, and this attachment is all temporary.
Разум человек
We shouldn't be
также,
attached to that.
понимая это, начинает слушать
Thus, person
духовные
understanding
вещи,
that,
духовные
he starts
предметы, кроме того,
listening to
что
spiritual
знать о
things,
здоровье, о
except
себе
for the
что-то
thing
знать,
that
о
he
мире, о своих
he should
обязанностях, о своих
know
качествах, о своем будущем,
things
он
about
должен
his
знать
health
что-то о вечном.
or about his future. He has to know
И те
something
браманы,
about
которые
the
достигли
future.
совершенства, они
And those
становятся
Brahmins
как
that have reached
Упасана-канды, они
perfection,
проповедуют, уже достигают совершенства Упасани-канди, они становятся
they
вайшнавами.
become Upasana Kanda,
Полностью
they
предаются
become
Кришне, полностью предаются
Vaishnavas. So they totally
И вот эти люди, которые
devote
полностью
to
предаются
Krishna.
Кришне, эти браманы
They surrender to
называются
Krishna. And these Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. They are also Brahmanas,
означает, что он сосредоточен
but
только на
Vaishnava
лотосных
means
стопах Господа Вишну.
that he is concentrated only on the lotus feet of
Совершенство
Vishnu.
браманов.
And this is the pinnacle of perfection of a Brahman.
Подтверждается в шастрах, что из всех
This is all
браманов
confirmed in
самый
Shastras.
лучший тот, кто обрел
Out of all
преданность
Brahmins,
духовной личности Бога.
the best one is the one who has received devotion from the personality of
В конце
God.
концов, предался верховной личности Бога.
So he has eventually surrendered to the personality of God. So the question is, how do these Brahmanas live if they have no material attachments? What do they meditate at? On Goloka Vrindavana?
Не так просто.
Not so simple.
Думать о духовном мире в материальном теле не так просто.
It's not so easy to think about spiritual body and being in this physical body. They meditate on Krishna's pastimes that he has in Vrindavana in this world and some other pastimes in this world. So these Vaishnavas, they meditate on Leelas of Gopis, not on Krishna directly, but on Gopi. The pastimes that he has had here just to attract devotees, because devotees that should be thinking about something, not just imagine, but they should be thinking about something. They have to meditate, something to orientate at, just for the satisfaction of Krishna. You have to know the behavior of Krishna, his pastimes, his form, his qualities, and thus we can take part in it. So this is the level of a very high perfection. If we cannot take part in these pastimes, if we don't feel this rasa, these relationships, of course we have some other responsibilities. Upasana Kandra, Jnana Kandra, Even Karma Kanda is needed by a lot of devotees. So you have to know Karma Kanda just to pacify their mind. Sometimes they cannot even chant the mantra. You see, they have some worries all the time, or quarrels with the wife, or like making money. So their faith is shaken sometimes. And they ask, like, wives ask, why doesn't my husband make enough money? And this reason is already enough to shake in your faith, to loosen up your faith. So we need the system of Varnashram Dharma. We need some Vipras that will come and tell us all this knowledge about astrology, or to tell me how to communicate with my husband. As we see, a lot of people, they need this knowledge, even devotees. And if we go to spiritual master, he usually would say, chant Hare Krishna, keep chanting, without going into details. The conclusion of all scriptures, please chant holy name and think about Krishna. Think about sadhana. Control your mind, speech and anger. Read about Prabhupada. But if a person does not get any support from the society, all these instructions, they seem to be impossible to be implemented if there's no support. So Brahmanas of different levels, different categories, they should cooperate. So Brahman, any Brahman, even if he's Vipra, he realizes that there's the Supreme Personality of God. He does all these things just to bring people closer to God. Because the life means dependence on something. If we do not depend on anything, this is not life. Life means when we have some dependence, a positive, desired dependence. And devotees, they depend on more advanced devotees very much. It's like Haradam Das Kapoor, Thakur. He has shown his devotees how to be dependent. He said, where is Ramachandra, where is Lakanath? I would smash my head if I lived just separately from them. It's so different to live in such a separation with them. So he would express the same separation, the same symptoms as Lord Chaitanya would express related to Krishna. And Narottam Das Thakur has continued that. He has expressed this separation from devotees. And Shastra said that it's even better than to express this devotion to Krishna. It's better to express even more devotion to pure devotees. So thus we kind of create dependence on Krishna's consciousness. Rupa Goswami prays to Sanatana Goswami, the source of inspiration. So it turns out Jiva Goswami and the others, they worship each other. They love each other in such a way. They see mercy of Krishna in it. Here Uddhava says that I want to just become a grass in Vrindavana, a bush, so that these ladies touch me with their feet. So I want to become this plant. She's such a dependence on devotees. He's the great devotee of Krishna. So now he says he wants to depend on these gopis. So they have real Krishna. He's totally surprised and amazed. So Uddhava, just to mention, the greatest devotee of Krishna, he wants to become a piece of dust, a bush, a plant, whatever it is. So if I ask dust from the lotus feet they would never allow me to have them, the gopis. So they would say, we are no one, we have lost everything, prestige and honor. So now we are totally lost in this world, they would say, gopis. So what does Krishna do to us if we had lost everything for the sake of him? He leaves us. He goes away. And Uddhava is watching all this. He cannot even imagine what it's like to be gopi now. So how can it be like, gopis, why do you have such remorse? He's the supreme personality of God. He's everywhere. So their love, it refuses all the impersonal presentation or understanding of God. They say, Uddhava, why are you saying these things to us? So gopis would say, you know, Krishna would steal our clothes and hide it somewhere. Like, he was here. He's been here together with us. He's totally personal. It's not just Brahman. So this love of Krishna, it turns out, all this friendship is in him, all this conjugal love, all this parental love, everything comes out from there. So of course devotees, they implement their mundane responsibilities, but in Krishna's consciousness, they do not get attached to their families and relatives more than to God. So I just can live in this world normally, and I have to understand the correct way of living here in this Maya. This is Maya, but if it's the mercy of Krishna, this is consciousness already. If this mercy is without Krishna, that's a problem. If it's with Krishna, it is said that this material world is like Vaikuntha. So in this case, you have to accept everything as the mercy of Krishna. Everything, miseries and happiness, gainings, losses, no friends, no enemies. Even diseases, even our difficult situations, should be seen as the mercy of Krishna. Krishna have destroyed all the military forces when he was here on earth. This was his mercy as well. He has even destroyed his own family, Yadu, his own dynasty. So he has discovered, opened this mystery only to Uddhava, but not to Arjuna. So why Yadava had to be destroyed in this way? But it was also Krishna's mercy. It's explained in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. So why did he do that? This is eternal Satchitananda Vigraha, never identifying himself with the matter, with duality of this world, never getting under control of any mindset, and there's no one and nothing above him, higher than Krishna. So we have to understand, we can understand this world only by mercy of Krishna. Maya attaches us and it gives us pain, it hurts us. You cannot fully be attached to Maya, it's impossible. But a person is attached to Maya, of course, but at the same time he's afraid of it. And he should be in this condition for many lives to go until he feels attachment to Krishna, the one who is not attached to anything. And he gives this love to us. And gopis, the most elevated example for us. We also have to develop these relationships inside of our movement so that everyone feels this dependence on the mercy of Krishna. Someone is more Krishna's conscious, more Krishna conscious, someone is less. So we have to feel this dependence on devotees. and also on the support of equal devotees. It's also good to feel the support when you associate with equal devotees. And it's very good to help junior devotees. This is our Krishna's consciousness. Relationships with juniors and seniors and equals. But here the most elevated pinnacle is described. So this samskara goes into our hearts. The consciousness of Uddhava is described here. Consciousness of Dvaraka and Vrindavana. Not for the critics, of course, it is all described, but for our heart. So what goes into our hearts? All the spiritual things, all the spiritual world, including Dvaraka, Vaikuntha and Goloka, Gokula and Krishna and all his followers, they all fit in our hearts. The heart possesses this spiritual world. And all the things described here, they fill our heart, eventually developing this attachment to Vaishnavas of different levels. And thanks to that, we start understanding Krishna just by the mercy of Vaishnavas. So Uddhava here is praying to be born in Vrindavana and receive mercy of Vaishnavas, of great Vaishnavas, gopis. So let me read this text once again. So the gopis of Vrindavana have given up the association of the husbands, sons and other family members who are very difficult to give up. And they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should be searched for by Vedic knowledge. Or let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavana, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of the lotus feet. So that's what Uddhava sees. Thinks of this grass and bushes to be so happy, because gopis, they happen to be there very often. They just walk there, they run there, they touch this grass, they don't even notice that, and there's some dust on the plants of Vrindavana, so this dust is still there. Nothing has changed in this case, the dust is the same. That's how we were taught to see Vrindavana. It's not like it was 5,000 years ago. This dust still exists there. Yes, this is a dusty place. And the dust there is considered to be the most sacred one. So that's what Uddhava is dreaming of. To be covered with dust of Vrindavan. From the lotus feet of gopis. So let me read one more text without purport. So the translation: the goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all the other demigods, who are masters of yogic perfection, can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within her mind. But during the rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon these gopis' breasts, and by embracing these feet, the gopis gave up all distress. So you see how interesting these texts are. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we can only achieve Him in our minds. And in addition, we even fight with our mind to think, just to even start thinking about that, not to forget that. To think about Krishna, not forget about Him. And again, gopis are glorified here. They have no problems in their mind. They have some other problems in the mind. The mind is created for the senses, for these feelings. It is created to be worried about Krishna. This is his initial, this is mind's initial role, to worry about Krishna. So we go through some impressions, feelings, discussing it with the others. Sometimes we quarrel, we argue, sometimes we agree or not agree. Sometimes we associate with people, discussing their views on this world. All these different clans, fighting clans of political parties. In the spiritual world, mind serves to Krishna, and this diversity, it expresses all the ecstatic symptoms. Diversity of senses and opinions, it expresses different ecstatic emotions. So Radharani, Gopi, she has referred to Uddhava, and she had so many things in her heart. When she first saw Uddhava, that was so much like Krishna. He was looking like Krishna so much. Gopis wouldn't believe it was Krishna. But then when they took a closer look at Uddhava, they realized that it wasn't Krishna. He was a very close follower of Krishna. They had so many things in their hearts, so many letters, but Radharani, she couldn't express all these things, all the things that she had in her heart. Very controversial senses. Ecstasy, you see, sometimes it can be like fire and water contacting each other. A person can be living in such a condition, in such controversial ecstatic waves. Mahabhava. Such controversial senses, people usually cannot live. They go crazy. They go insane. But in Krishna, he's got all these controversies unified, so many ecstatic emotions, controversy in each other. So it can be horror and love and distaste, everything. All these senses, they can be expressed only, they can be manifested only in Srimati Radharani. So that's why she and Krishna, they have organized this episode when the bee came, big bee. She started talking loudly in insanity. Do not touch my feet. You are the servant. You're not permanent, just like your master. You're flying from one flower to another. This, right now you're here, and the next second you're there, just like your master. He has deceived us all. She has uttered words that no one has ever heard. So she has blamed Krishna. But such a deep attachment was hidden behind all that, such a power that even the surrounding trees, they have transformed, and the birds as well. All the minds of living entities have been transferred. They have changed. And Uddhava, he just got totally frozen. He understood that her speech was also connected to him. And in that way, Radharani, she wanted Uddhava to see all these things that are not that cannot be seen by the others. So Uddhava was the devotee that was supposed to stay there after Yadavas. Exodus. She said, "Why do you leave me here? Take me away with you. I don't want to stay here." But Krishna said, "You have to stay here. We need someone to pass this knowledge further. You have to live here just for the sake of that. Someone has to know about that. So you have to spread this knowledge. Let Krishna come for benefit of all the other living entities. All the devotees, they should stay there because all this knowledge does not fit the minds of mundane people. Devotees, they can be even persecuted in this world. So it's just, we all forget that we used to be in the womb of our mothers. We forget that in our previous lives, we already were beloved children. We forget everything about our previous lives. And we think that in this life, we will become happy at last. Again, we're in Maya. We can't be happy until we meet a pure devotee. So Uddhava is playing the role of a pure devotee here. But gopis, I don't even know how to describe them. I can't even just say that they're just pure devotees. There's something else, more sublime. It's beyond the limits of being just a pure devotee. So usually pure devotee does not disturb the society, but gopis, you know, they have violated so many things. They've even set a bad example on the point of view of materialistic view. They have even forsaken all their husbands, leaving them at nights. So this is the category of the closest followers of Krishna. So if we go deeper into these relationships, there's nothing more sublime than that. No in spiritual or material worlds. Gopis of Vrindavana. This is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought us. So in this world we try to spread the holy name of Radha and Krishna. This was a seldom activity back then. So one person out of many thousands of people would strive for the perfection. Now we are thriving to get this Krishna's consciousness. That's why we are reading these lines, all these descriptions that are not acceptable to any one of us. So this, what we are reading right now is almost impossible to understand fully. Madhurya Rasa is not accessible in the material world, even in the highest planets. Only on the level of mind. We can hear something, we try to understand something with help of controlling our mind, not to identify all these things with our material experience. Only through sadhana and practice, we try to hear what is said here. But we also need some astrologists, Ayurveda, psychologists, to somehow live in harmony in this world. We still need some Maya, some mercy. But gopis, they were not troubled with that. So that's the thoughts that I have today. So dear devotees, we should stop here. This was the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 47 chapter, 61 and 61st, 62nd text. So 62nd text was without purpose. Yeah. So this chapter is called the Song to the Bee. So thank you so much, Caitanya Candra Prabhu. I was listening to you with such a pleasure, and I'm left with such an impression. So Pramananda Prabhu, would you please make an announcement? Hare Krishna, dear viewers on YouTube, please send your questions to ajayavaradha.com website. For those in Zoom, raise your hand and ask your questions. So I think I will start. I just wanted to share some of my opinions. So yesterday Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was invited and he gave a lecture. So one of the angs of devotional service is the contact with the holy places, or living in the holy places. Holy places are all connected with the pastimes of Lord. And in places where the saints live, and today we were reading this one verse after finishing japa. Rupa Goswami says that there's a hierarchy of holy places. Madhura is higher than Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, where there are no troubles. So Madhura is high because Krishna has appeared in Madhura, but the forest of Vrindavan is even higher because Krishna, he organizes rasa dance in there, and Govardhan is even higher because Krishna, he has lifted the Govardhan hill and he was stepping there with his feet, and higher than Govardhan is the Radha Kunda. That is a very dear thing to Krishna. In other words, Radha Kunda, where Radha and Krishna meet each other. And yesterday Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, he took us to a village of ISKCON. It was an online parikrama. You know, Chaitanya Candra Prabhu, I was so amazed that it turns out I've been in this movement for over 30 years and I know nothing about ISKCON. This is the main table of the international consciousness of Krishna, and we worship there to Radha Madhavi and ISKCON and Gopis. This was amazing. It turns out that ISKCON and 8 main gopis, they are like expansions of Srimati Radharani, and they express the different qualities, some skills of serving to bring happiness and joy to Krishna. And I had this desire yesterday to learn better about this tattva that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought us. This is my prayojana. So this, it's nowhere to be found in other sampradayas. Just to learn more about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. The whole world was happy when Lord Chaitanya has come, and he has given us something that hadn't been given to us before. Very sacred relationships, loving relationships. And I've recalled one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam where it is said that by just listening about pure devotional service, they have left everything. A person is purified when you serve to Supreme Personality of Godhead. It has such a tremendous power. Even if you hate demigods and all the living entities, well, this person must be perfect egoist. Even the one who hates demigods and all the other living entities can get purified in a blink of an eye just by hearing about this transcendental service, glorified, contemplating about it, or even praise the service of other devotees. You know, such a powerful strength, force. If this is our aim, how do we reach it? Srila Prabhupada says there are many monkeys living at this kunda, and if you're there, and to get mercy of these lilas and worship them. And if we dive in the ocean, for example, first, that has an internal canal, so if you dive there, you can dive out at Radhakunda's shore. So this is the ocean of Sankirtana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Thing that you've said today, following dharma. As Krishna instructs Arjuna, he says, Arjuna, do not forsake your dharma, do not go into the forest, because you are a great personality. Everyone will follow you. So you will give a bad example to all these people. Be an example, be a perfect one. And only after that, of course, by deeply meditating, you can go to sublime level. So these are my thoughts. Thank you so much for such a great lecture. So you have given us such a detailed information today. So now we can transfer to questions. Yes?
Так, пожалуйста, здесь Пасан Тарас, я думаю, что это Ранга Деви. Да, пожалуйста.
Кришна, дорогие преданные.
Харе Кришна, dear devotees, can you hear me well?
Со звуком это всегда проблема. Читаю Чанда Чарам Прабhu, спасибо большое.
Харе Кришна, Читаю Чанда Чарам Прабhu, thank you so much for this amazing katha.
И как всегда, очень много вопросов.
And as always, I have a lot of questions, but let me just ask you one of them. You said that gopis, devotion of gopis, that they have forsaken everything without even thinking of the consequences, of the opinion, and they have forsaken their chastity, and they have chosen Krishna. And he also said that we can all understand it on our level. So how does it look like on our level, so that we renounce everything and just choose Krishna? So I'm all attracted by all these personalities. And it is said that we should not imitate gopis. But what if these qualities really inspire us? What I do on my level? What can I do? That's a good question. So gopis, they see Krishna everywhere. So this is the example of Uttamadhikari. He does not see anything except Krishna. Well, just imagine a lusty person. He sees so many women around him, wherever he looks. This is just lust. That's how he sees it. Uttamadhikari sees Krishna everywhere in this way. If gopis see the tree of Tamala, they want to hug this tree, because the color is very close to Krishna's skin's color. If they touch some plants, they recall touch of Krishna, nothing else. If they see birds chirping, they also remember about Krishna. So they see Krishna everywhere. So just understand that these are not just women, or not men as we understand it. So we are still men and women. So that's why we need sadhana bhakti, some effort. If you want to see Krishna, we go to temple. So our stomach does not just demand something. We have to be conscientious of Krishna to put this prasadam in our stomach. So we should start watching lectures, hearing lectures, and in this moment when we contact Krishna, we understand the condition of gopis. So in the process of chanting and hearing, when we dance during kirtan, in this moment we start understanding at least something. So this physical body starts to be the conductor of the spirit. So please support your sadhana regularly, concentrated. So let's watch the quality of our sadhana. Do not get used to just chanting mantra. Improve your chanting, but every day. This is important. There are some other examples. When Prabhupada was asked by Dr. Patel, can I see Krishna with my eyes? Just like you talk about him. With a flute, dressed this way, with a garland, bees around him. He's dancing, playing with his eyebrows. Plain, attractive. Can I see him? Prabhupada says, even in millions, tens of millions of lives, probably you will see Krishna, probably you will not. Why don't you want to see Krishna the way he says about himself in Bhagavad Gita? So Krishna is manifested in this world. Try to understand it. He would talk about the taste of water often. You drink water every day. So realize Krishna, the taste of water, this is Krishna. Why don't you want to understand it? You just want to see him with flute right away? So he would tell us about these things. So you have to learn Bhagavad Gita, read it all the time. Wake up early in the morning, chant your rounds. And that's how you start perceiving it. It's a fact. Otherwise, we wouldn't hear anything that we are reading today. We wouldn't even attend such meetings. So that means we feel something. Okay, thank you. Damodara Priya Mataji, turn your mic on, please.
Hare Krishna, my поклоны.
Hare Krishna. Accept my obeisances, please. Thank you for the clarification. So I just wanted to ask you about the spontaneity. Gopis, they were constantly thinking of Krishna. And I've noticed that sometimes when you read japa in a better way, more attentively, and your mind gets pacified and you don't want to have these material things anymore, but sometimes, for example, today, probably yesterday, I had such a stressful conversation. So I was chanting japa, and I had to direct my mind all the time. I really had to put a lot of effort to be concentrated. But then probably by the end, he had become pacified, more or less. But then again, I want to eat something tasty. So mind, of course, has more material desires. So I'm just trying to understand this stress that emerges when you put some effort, when you make an effort to chant japa. Is it a normal thing, or maybe I'm just over-exaggerating, overreacting to that? That's a good question. Well, yes, your mind has started working. See, you've been chanting mantra for 2 hours, and then your mind wants to eat something sweet. So while it's a job for us, our mind will be behaving like this. It says that we are on the level of dhamma, that we have to still control our mind, performing our duties. The person has the right for some sensual gratification when performing his duties, just like a marriage. It's a sensual gratification, but there are some duties in there, responsibilities. In this way, this is a marriage. Otherwise, it's not even a marriage, it's not legal. If you don't have any responsibilities, it's not a marriage. So that's why a person has the right for some sensual enjoyment by his nature. It's a normal thing, but performing your duties. When you perform your material duties, it's also your mind control. It's not only japa, but this is also an implementation of your material duties. All this for us is sadhana. We are on this level. While we are working, we have to get something out of it. But when we start chanting holy names spontaneously, your mind will not ask for anything else. But we are still working on that, you see? We are still on this stage. Srila Prabhupada used to say, work now, samadhi is later. Can I ask a follow-up question, please? Well, if you want to clarify, yes. You know the rules. Okay, so let's just move forward to the next one. So Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Candra Caran Prabhu, please accept my obeisances. So I just wanted to add a little bit and then also ask a question. So when Uddhava came with the letter, message from Krishna, so he entered Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda's house, and these were the first days when Krishna left. Maybe it's been like a week. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they were crying half the night, and Uddhava just sat there waiting for them to stop crying. But these feelings, they wouldn't just go, and in several hours he started talking about his perception of Krishna, of the Lord. And by the morning, they had been pacified, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. So they've heard something that Uddhava was saying about his perception and understanding and relationships with Krishna. And Uddhava has realized that everything that he was saying, it hasn't actually entered consciousness of either Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda. Of Yashoda Mother, I'm sorry. So he has excused himself. He said, I'm sorry for disturbing you. And Krishna's parents just said, wow, there are some devotees just like Uddhava perceiving Krishna in that way. And yesterday I also asked a question, and I got a response that a soul can have different relationships with Krishna. The same soul, just like Radharani. Remember, she had different relationships with Krishna. So there was a general Vishwaksena at Goloka Vrindavana. He's the friend of Krishna. And the question is, since we only have one question, so I couldn't ask second and third questions yesterday. So these souls, Vishwaksena, Vaikuntha and Bhadrasena, Radharani, Goloka, like a queen, and Dvarka Satyakama, did they realize that they are probably in the second rasa with Krishna, like in both of these rasas at the same time? Are they conscientious of that? Vishwaksena, what is rasa? It's the servant and master, and in Goloka Vrindavana, since the pandemic started, so one Maharaj gives lectures on Prihad. So there are different rasas and different places. Somewhere as a servant and as a master, somewhere as a friend. When I don't see any difference in rasas. So this Bhadrasena that is in rasa at Goloka, in the friendship rasa with Krishna, that he is at the same time is a general on Vaikuntha as a servant and a master. Yes, sure. there are no limits. He may know everything he wants. There are no limits to that. The question is, should he know about that? He chooses himself. It's not like he's supposed to remember all the things at the same time. He may forget something by his will. See, we also sometimes do things and we forget about some things, but then we recall. But when a person is busy, so he's concentrated on this activity, so this is not yet lost, it's just a question of switching your attention. And Radharani is concentrated on Krishna at present time, that she may think that this is going to be the first meeting in their lives today, as if she forgets about it. Although she doesn't, she may remember all the things, but it's still, she doesn't know anything at this moment. This is Yoga Maya. It's difficult to explain that. Just like Krishna in Damodara Lila saw a whip in Yashoda's mother's hands, so he cries, and the chariots, they trying to count the plan on this. A lot of comments. Is Krishna just pretending, or he's crying, or he's truly crying, being afraid? And everyone comes to a conclusion that Krishna is not just playing his role, he's not pretending, he really forgets. But the mercy of Yoga Maya, it's not a spectacle, it's a real lila. Well, he still remembers that he's the Supreme Personality. It's sometimes he does not, because Yoga Maya is in there. It fully gives you the script. So it's like Krishna gives away his all-knowing aspect to the hands of Maya, and he kind of switches his consciousness. So this is like a real lila. So Krishna is afraid. So Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj do not understand when Uddhava starts saying that Krishna is the absolute truth. To say, Uddhava, we thought you were a wise man, like what are you talking about? So this is Madhurya Rasa. So the way I get it, Sat Chitananda, so Chit, the energy Chit, it's always fully manifested on Vaikuntha and Goloka. So this is all the sphere of Chit. And everything is in this sphere, but it's also the reason of some oblivion. Achit is the source of oblivion. Chit is the reason of knowledge and the oblivion. That in absolute understanding, there's no difference in these two terms. If you forget about it, does not mean that you lose it. He can recall it at any time he needs it. This Chit energy is everywhere around. It's not like you forget about it, you lose it forever. No. It's like a switch, like waves of ecstasy, waves of rasas, all this variety in this energy of Chit itself. It can manifest as Chit or Achit. Okay, so since I have only one question. Premananda Prabhu, do we have many questions on YouTube?
Да, вопросы есть. Могу зачитать?
Yeah, there are some questions. Can I read them aloud?
Как создать или организовать Вриндаван в своей семье?
How do I organize Vrindavan in my family, in a place where I am right now, where you are right now? How to organize Vrindavana in my own family or the place where you're at? Like, he means the atmosphere of Vrindavana. So for me,
Святое имя, конечно же.
I know many things can help. Holy name, of course, Kirtana, good japa,
Особенно, когда мы обсуждаем вот эти темы,
especially when we
проявляется,
discuss
когда собираются
Prabhupada's
преданные
books,
вместе
when
воспевают
devotees get together,
сокровенные.
they chant together and they discuss all these sacred topics.
Такой у нас пример интересный был, для
There was
всей нашей
a good example for all our yatra in St. Petersburg.
в Ижорах, в пригороде.
So we had a
И там вся программа
little house in the suburbs of St. Petersburg,
собрались на подоконниках, на улице.
and the programs that took place there were so many people
Возвращались паломники.
everywhere around,
Вот первый
especially when some
привлекал
pilgrims would come back.
потому что все потом слушали.
So everyone was attracted to this by these pilgrims.
Вриндаван просто проявлялся. Настолько, что мы слышали
So it was so much expressive that we could even hear the voices of peacocks. Of course, there were no peacocks in there, but
что не во Вриндаване. Все
it was not a surprise to us. We all felt as if we were in Vrindavana.
приехали.
After spring, after Gara Purnima,
Рассказывали, как они там ходили, что там
so they would just say what they were eating and about the monkeys,
знали, что-то про Махараджи говорили.
some mundane things, something about lectures and Maharajas. They were just talking about all the things. And this Vrindavana, it would appear there in front of our eyes.
Это сознание.
Amazing. This is Krishna's consciousness.
Вот. Но самое лучшее это, конечно, саду санга, когда мы вместе воспеваем, вместе обсуждаем эти темы духовные.
The best thing is sadhu sangha.
И в конце, если просад еще,
When they speak, discuss about all these things, and then prasadam, good prasadam, cooked according to the standards of Vrindavana, you will surely turn out to be in Vrindavana. If you cook chapati the same way as in Vrindavana. So that's the direct way to get into Vrindavana. Such chapatis as in Vrindavana, they don't exist anywhere else.
Да, иногда, когда проходишь по Вриндавану,
Yeah, sometimes when you go past Vrindavana in the morning time,
и вдруг в нос ударяет запах
and then out of sudden,
чапати, свежемолотой муки, и они жарят на сковороде.
so the flavor of chapati hits your nose when they're fried. Oh gosh, it just drives me insane.
Они же готовят еще в коровьем навозе,
And they
сливается
cook it,
запах
and the cow's done,
готовящейся пшеницы,
and this smell of all these mixed ingredients, the flour,
рядом с,
and the cow's done,
чтобы они вздувались.
and the fried on fire. It's just
Да,
something.
10 штук сидеть это минимум. Горячий
Yeah,
чапати.
you could eat
Да.
10 hot chapatis in just one sit, minimum.
Примананда Прабху еще продолжает.
Pramananda Prabhu,
Виталий
more
Прабhu,
questions?
а как покидали этот мир гопи? Они все ушли на
So
голову
how
Вриндавана?
did
Или
Gopi
кто-то,
leave
может,
this world?
остался здесь?
Did all of them go to Goloka Vrindavana? What are they supposed to do here without Krishna?
Оставаться, конечно.
It goes without saying. Of course they didn't stay here.
Они не покидали Галоку Вриндавана, если говорить о
They
гопи.
didn't leave Goloka Vrindavana.
Попытаемся понять, давайте, что гопи это не
So you have
тело.
to try to understand gopis
Смотрите на них не как на
are
женщин, не
not
как на
bodies.
мужчин.
Don't look at them
Все их части тела и все функции
as to women or men. All the bodies,
Вот что
functions
так объяснить.
are all about serving to Krishna. There's no other way to explain it.
Следующий вопрос.
Матаджи
Next
Антонина.
question, please. Sumata
Недавно
Jantanina.
вы мне приснились и во сне сказали,
So recently,
показали обитель богов.
you've
Но
come to
сказали
my
не входить в обитель ночью.
dream,
Что это
and
значит?
you showed me a
Благодарю
dwelling
за
of
ответ.
gods and told me not to enter it.
Ночам гулять, понятное дело, не надо туда-сюда.
Of course, you're not supposed to be outside at night.
В обители богов я и днем-то туда не вхожу, не то что ночью.
Well, I don't even go to the dwellings of gods even at daytime.
Сон, может быть, извлечь
Well,
какой можно из этого
this
урок.
dream, what benefit should you extract from this dream? Well, what I think,
Кто-то
if I
из старших
dreamt it,
преданных мне во сне приснился и
that
сказал,
if-
вот обитель
if some of senior devotees would come into my dream,
по ночам туда не ходи.
well, that's interesting. They told me don't go there at
Меня
night,
наблюдают.
only at a daylight, I would think that it's about my self-discipline, so that I don't cross some borders, allowed borders. Don't think of me that I can achieve, I can approach Krishna, Gopis, or Prabhupada, or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, like so easily, or with 6 Goswamis or Lord Chaitanya. That was the familiarity. That would be. I think I would understand this dream in such a way. I should be respectful and follow my sadhana. It's all about discipline. So Vrajamani Prabhu, you had one more question. Yeah, so I'd like to specify something. We also heard quite often, so Haridas Thakur is like about 2 souls in one body, Brahma and Prahlada Maharaj. Do they even understand that they have taken just one body? That's a good question. Yeah, they exist there at the same time. So if I give you a mundane example, just like friends, when they are close friends, so they're called inseparable. And they're not only personalities, but they have a common consciousness, like a collective consciousness. They do something together and they understand each other without even words. They understand their identity, being identical. So they may unite somewhere, look totally inseparable. This is a mundane example, I'm sorry for that. But on the level of a soul, it is possible. Yeah, it can clone itself, unite, merge with something else, stay in an individuality at the same time. It is for soul, everything is possible. It's like a husband and a wife. So there's some merging of interests, senses, feelings, aims. They feel their children, and at the same time they're all individual. Maybe this example will help you to answer this question. And also about Ramananda Rai. In Ramananda Rai that was sitting in front of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there were 4 souls. So Arjuna and Gopi Vishakha, Lalitha probably, Gopi Arjuna, and there was someone else. I forgot. If we want to do something, 4 of us, so we need 4 bodies. But 4 souls, they can't act in one body. There are different methods. You don't have to be incarnated in just one body, but with help of some siddhas, everything is possible. So how much time do we have left? So let's just have one last important question. Pramananda Prabhu, can you choose one important question from YouTube?
Владислав Прабhu, скажите, пожалуйста, как преодолеть свое нежелание
there's a
и в конце
question.
концов приходить
Tell
к
me
старшим
please, how do I overcome my desires and visit senior devotees? Do you have a darshan? So how do I overcome a lack of desire to visit senior devotees? Do you have a darshan from them? So it turns out this person doesn't want to have this darshan with senior devotees. Yeah, somehow you should overcome it. So, Karpajna Prabhu, what do you think these relationships are? So it seems like this person understands with his intelligence that it's important to associate with the seniors, but at this he does not have relationships with these seniors. It's like he feels that this is his duty, but the point is that he can't do it. You don't just come there to have darshan, just bring a present, probably. And one more thing that I want to say in this regard, lack of desire is connected with some disadvantages, weaknesses of the devotee. Maybe something has happened. Maybe there's some fans, probably. So what can I tell you in this case? For example, a person is engaged in performing some service, but at the same time he performs some sins. So what do you choose between these two? Well, it's obvious that you will choose devotional service. He wants to see what he wants to see from Krishna, to do for Krishna. Associate with devotees in this manner, and you will be advanced. So that's how we learn to separate matter and spirit. Every person has these two elements, material desires, so weaknesses, disadvantages, imperfections, mistakes at every step we take, and also devotional service. So try to differentiate these things and try to associate with this spiritual image. Perform this devotional service, you'll be okay. Okay, one last question from Mark David. There's something with your sound. Now it's okay. Thank you so much.
Как быть, вот насколько я слышала, нам нужно, и насколько знаю, мы всегда зависим от старших преданных.
So as far as I know, we always depend on the senior devotees, so we could advance spiritually. We have to associate with them. And since my basic service is serving my yatra, and there's so much service in there, and no time to even ask some questions. And I analyze my life, my practice, and I have so many questions. And I also know that these devotees, they are so busy. When I ask them questions, I feel that I cannot ask too many questions because they're all very busy. But nevertheless, we have to continue serving. So what am I supposed to do in this way? I know that all the answers are in my heart. And of course, having been to Vrindavan, I've learned this skill to go deep into myself, to concentrate on myself. But nevertheless, sometimes it's very valuable and important to associate with senior devotees. They're busy, they have no time to associate with us. How do I deal with it? So of course we listen to lectures, we serve, a lot of things happen thanks to our servitude. Sometimes we even get some realizations. So what does happen? A lot of things used to happen in Vrindavan when I was there. For example, my mentor, she helped me out, but sometimes she can't answer my questions. She tells me to speak to the senior devotees. So that's a question about personal life, probably. This is an emotional question, the lack of communication. That's what I feel. If to speak about the senior devotees, they should regulate this association. If you communicate with the senior devotee, I know one thing, that by associating with them, asking questions, our communication should not be just as a, mundane spend of time. We have to be in austerity. I cannot just build these pleasant relationships with them. They can if they want, but I can't. I can't be just friends with them. So this is probably about personal life, like the lack of some relationships that I need at this time, as a woman or as a man, for a family person. Of course, there have to be some relationships that support me. Yeah, we cannot get that from senior Vaishnavas, these pleasant relationships. It's a different thing. They will inspire us to serve to Krishna, they will support our soul. They will just control the situation. This is a normal thing. That's good that you feel it. That means that everything is right. The very last question. It seems like she's got a very urgent question. So I said it was supposed to be the last one, but still this Maharaji, she's decided to raise her hand. So it's actually, I just wanted to add something. When gopis left Vrindavana, I just wanted to tell this story. If we still have some time, I will take just a minute of your time. So what do you think? Of course, tell it. I'm ready to hear that. Thank you so much. So near the forest, there's a village Garaya, and when Nanda Maharaj, together with the dwellers of Vrindavana, they visited Kurukshetra. They wanted to take Krishna away, but Krishna said, I will visit you, definitely, but now I can't. Nanda Maharaj, he got very upset because he said of the dwellers of Vrindavana that he would bring back Krishna. So when he came back, he set up a tent, and the landlord came there. He has helped to organize this camp, and Nanda Maharaj, he was standing on Yamunta, so now this village is Garaya, it's called Garaya, and there's another village, Datiya. It was originated from Dandavatra. When Dandavatra learned that Krishna has killed Shishupala, he wanted to revenge. He attacked Madhura first. He didn't go to Dvaraka. He has attacked Madhura. And Krishna has used this occasion to come to Vrindavana, because Krishna, he simply wasn't allowed. So when you have 16,000 wives, they wouldn't want you to go to Vrindavana. And the Lord, he killed the Dandavata, the bad guy. He met with Nanda Maharaj. He said, Lala, Lala, take us away. Take us to the place where we feel no separation from you. And Krishna said that he needs to finish this Raja Lila. So, and then he said, close your eyes. On the Brajapasis, they closed their eyes. And he would take all these people on one chariot. So he has split himself, actually. So one Vrindavana Krishna has stepped on one chariot, another Krishna stepped on another chariot. So the first chariot went straight to Goloka Vrindavana. And then where no one was left in Vrindavana and Krishna has taken all the Brajabasis, but on the other chariot, Vasudeva Krishna has come back. So it was Vishnu Puranam. Hare Krishna.
Ну тут мы закончим, дорогие преданные.
So we'll finish here, dear devotees.
Спасибо, Чайтанья Чандра Прабху. Харе Кришна.
Thank you, Chaitanya Candra Prabhu.
Jai. Prantharaj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Его милость Чайтанья Чандра Caran Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Gaur
So His mercy, Chaitanya Candra Prabhu ki